You just make him.
Type one in the chat room if you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, it's time already, and we're going to get started. Okay, but before we get started, I would like to point out something. You know, normally when we schedule time for our sections, the Zoom meeting is normally open at least 10 minutes before the time. So you don't need to be waiting until it is 9 minutes before you clock in and join. You can join in 5 minutes before the time, at least, okay? Or maybe you can join in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes before the time, but don't be waiting till the last minute before you join in. So already I'm so much excited about today's section because our facilitator for this evening is an amazing lady, right? She's an exceptional person, and we can't wait to, have her with us. So I'm going to give just 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. Like, if you are here in this meeting right now and can hear me, you can go to the Fellows WhatsApp group and type in join the section we have started. You can go to the WhatsApp group. I give you express permission to do that. Go to the WhatsApp group. Remind those people there that have not joined. Tell them that the section has started. Just in the next 30 seconds, you are free to do that. Go to the WhatsApp group. Remind them to join in. Just in the next 30 seconds, we get started. I'm checking the WhatsApp group. So I would love to see every one of us here, reminding others that are yet to join in on the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much as they're doing that. Thank you. Yes, I can see the reminders. I can see it. Thank you. Yes, I can see it. 20 more seconds. 20 more seconds. 20 more seconds. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds. 8 seconds. 6 seconds. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to get started right away. Now, I am so excited for today's section, as I mentioned earlier. Without spending so much time, with a very deep joy and a very big excitement in my heart, we welcome our facilitator for this section. She is a leading voice from the University of Education, Winneba, and she brings a deep expertise in inclusive education and disability studies. Now, we are going to continue with our journey. We started all the way from last week when we did the introduction to neurodiversity, and the section was awesome. And today, She's going to be exploring the historical development of neurodiversity in West Africa, providing us with the critical context for our mission of equitable access. So with your favorite emoji, I want us to go to the chat room, drop in your favorite emoji. You can drop in some fire, you can clap with your favorite emoji. I'm not seeing our emoji yet. I'm not seeing our emoji. With your favorite emoji. I want to see our emoji. With your favorite emoji. Okay, yes, that's it. With your favorite emoji, let us make welcome to the stage Dr. Gifty Rockson. Yes, you are welcome, ma. You are welcome. The floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, fellows. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity. This foundation reached out to me, and I must say that I feel humbled to be here, especially us being in different locations, but with technology, we are linked together. All right. I want to thank Ebuka, Pascal, behind the scenes. They've been checking emails and all that. I appreciate it a lot. To the fellows, thank you for having me. I think I've already have some sort of interaction with you on the Google Classroom. And so I appreciate the names that I am seeing because I have seen some already before. And so thank you so much. I've been introduced. My name is Gifty Rockson, and I'm from University of Education, Winneba, Ghana. With your permission, Pascal, may I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, fellows and everyone. Okay. So it's my pleasure once again to be part of this conversation today. I will be speaking to you about historical development, the stigma, and the cultural perspectives under the bigger umbrella term neurodiversity in West Africa. I'm sure you had the first session already, so you've been introduced to it, and so you have some idea about it, all right? So today, my focus will be on how societies have understood the way people think, learn, communicate with each other, or behave differently, and how these interpretations over the years or over time have shaped us. Okay, how they have shaped us, how they have shaped the way we support the people, how they have shaped exclusion, how they have shaped inclusion over the years. So that's basically it. As a special education person, inclusive education and disability advocate, and not specifically a historian, we are going to link this historical development to education. We are going to look at stigma and cultural perspectives over the years, over time, how it has actually shaped the way we interpret our like I've been introduced. I am Gifty Rockson. My area of specialty is special education. I'm proficient in Braille and Sign Language. I'm a service provider for individuals with special needs. I know how to communicate with the deaf, the visually impaired, and also deaf-blind, all right? And all other neurodevelopmental conditions in all manner of settings. But I teach in the university, right? So our focus for today, we'll look at the cultural beliefs and the misconceptions, colonial and post-colonial influences. Then we'll look at stigma and cultural perspectives, and then the pathway towards inclusion, because beyond all of these is what can be done. All right. So let's zoom in. I must say that this session will be interactive. So fellows, I would be grateful if you are quite interactive. If I ask you to do something, I would indulge on you to do it with me. Is that okay? If it is okay, send me a thumbs up emoji. Thumbs up emoji. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Okay, you are with me. I like that. Excellent. Okay. All right. So let's have an icebreaker. What comes to your mind first when people in our community see a child who perhaps did not talk at the time that is supposed to talk? What happens when people in our communities see people who learn differently? What happens? What comes to mind when people in our community see a child who behaves aggressively? What is the first word or phrase that people often use in our community? So let's put it in the chat box. What comes to mind? What do people usually say? Let's write in the chat box. Burden. Nasser says a burden. They say the child is not mature. Okay. Okay, I want to hear more. Shall I mention some of your names? Some people say it's spiritual. Okay. Say thank you. Let's hear from you. Where are the rest? Fatima, Miriam, Philip, Said. Let's hear from you. What comes to mind? What do people say first? The first word or phrase that comes to them. People say it's okay. The nemesis of parents' wrongdoing. Okay. Okay, that's beautiful. All right. I'm grateful for your responses. I want you to try out this. If you're using your phone on the Zoom, then you may use the browser. But if you're using a laptop, then that makes it easy. You just scan the QR code, and then the phrases you have written, you can also do that here. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay, I'm audible. All right, thank you. So let's have an opening reflection. But on that which you wrote in the chat box, thank you so much. So it's obvious from the responses that we can already see that the language people often use is not neutral. Sometimes it's more judgmental, and it reflects how we understand how it also reflects our fear, our sympathy, or even blame or stigma, because one of you also said that they say it's the cause of their parents. All right. So this is why this session is very, very important for us. So we are not only going to talk about differences, we are also going to talk about the meanings, okay, that society catches about these neurological differences. Now, let's reflect a little further. Okay, when a child does not speak at the expected age, like I said, a child is not able to keep an eye contact with you. You know, when a child is growing, the child, when it's about 6 months or that, when you show a sign, hello, baby, the child will also show a sign like pick me up or something. But you do that and the child turns the head, is not able to look at you and is not happy. Repeats behaviors, sometimes just turning the head over and over, or seems unusually restless. There's nothing wrong, but is restless and all that, or behaves quite differently. Usually, what does society often assume? Like we all said, think about the issue of spiritual meaning. One of you mentioned that some even blame families. Some even think that it is stubbornness. Will you agree with me? Some think that the kids who are restless and moving around and quite active, overly active, are stubborn. And some say it's about shame. And then even some say that the parents didn't raise the kids well. I mean, all of these things come to people's mind, and that is how society looks at it. All right. So in many settings, these are the assumptions that come. So this will help us, okay, see how neurodiversity in West Africa is not only about the people, it's also about the interpretation that we give to it. It's about how the communities explain our differences. All right. It's about how the community explains our differences. Okay. Right. Now let's ask ourselves, what is neurodiversity? I think last week you were taking through neurodiversity. Okay. So can you just tell me something you have learned already? What's neurodiversity? You've had the introduction already. Can you share with me? My fellows, are you here? Hello, fellows. Dr. Titi,
I think I need to mute. I think I need to unmute them. So
okay. Say you want to say something.
okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Gift.
Hi, say.
Yeah. So thank you once again. So last week, our last session, we had an introduction on neurodiversity, the different types, an introduction into them, and how some of the limiting factors that the society put on them, and how there's late diagnosis, and also there's no much support on the parents understanding the kind of care. The doctor used himself as a case study of how he was like thought that he wouldn't be able to achieve so much in his personal career life and all that, but he was able to, due to the guidance of the support of the family and everybody around him, that understood the kind of care that he needed. So we were made to understand the history behind it and how there's late diagnosis and how there's differences in the different spectrums of the conditions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sei, for sharing. That's beautiful. So it means that last week you've had enough. So I just have a word or two. So when we say neurodiversity, it describes the idea that how people experience and interact with the world in many different ways. Okay, so there's no single right way of thinking, learning, behaving, or processing information. All right. So this perspective, if we have it, will encourage us to see diversity as a human variation. So our brains, there are variations in the way our brains work as part of human life, rather than assuming that every difference is automatically a defect. All right. So people thinking, learning and interacting in different ways, we seeing it as part of variation in human diversity. Okay. And that there is no one right way to think. Okay. So the difference is not automatically a deficit, right? So this term is often related in relation to, I know you've learned some of the types: autism spectrum disorder, ASD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, learning disabilities, specific learning disabilities, and all that. All right. Now, I'd like to mention the historical perspective of this. So often this movement gained visibility in the 1990s. I know a lot of us here in the 1990s, we were not children, we were young adults and all that, right? So this particular neurodiversity terminology came up around that time, all right? It gained that visibility around the 1990s. Let's have a brief history. This language of neurodiversity is not new. The people are not new. It's not that in Africa, now it is like now in Africa, everybody you see is neurodiverse. It's not new. Actually, they have existed with us always. They've always been here with us. The term is what is recent, but the people have lived with us since. Okay, and the one who coined the term neurodiversity is called Judy Singer. And that was when they were activists around the 1990s. So Judy Singer is the one who coined the term neurodiversity. I'm sure you are taking that note down. Okay, so this movement grew with self-advocacy when people realized that they themselves were neurodiverse, and so they had to come and advocate for themselves. So the key idea here is that what has changed now is the meaning that we attach to neurodiversity. But the truth is, in antiquity, in history, these people have lived with us ever since. And if you can just recall or just reflect, back in the day, we have had people who have had these conditions, just that we didn't really know about them. So for now, the thing that has changed is the meaning we attach to neurodiversity. But the people have always been with us. All right. So today, when we use the term neurodiversity, we don't use it, or we are only using it as a modern lens and for dignity. But the situation has been with us ever since. So I'm not suggesting that the earlier communities used this neurodiverse diverse language. No, what I'm saying is that the people have always been here, but the language and the meaning around the people is what has changed. Please, I hope I'm making sense to you, right? Now let's look at the core argument. So the history here is not about interpretation. We know that difference has been noticed, okay? Then we assigned meanings to them because we noticed that these people are quite different. They don't behave in the way we all behave. Sometimes they think in a manner that we do not think. And so after this difference was noticed, then what next? What happened next was meaning that we assigned to it. All right, then we assigned meanings to it. Oh, okay. If these people are different, they are not talking, or they are overly active, or they are not behaving the way we all behave. Now people begin to get meaning out of it. Then responses began to follow. People were now responding. Responses. How do we respond to it? Back in the day, when they just see that, okay, maybe the grandfather might have done something wrong. Okay, and the outcomes were the things that shaped our responses. So the core argument is that we all noticed the difference, that people were different. Then, as a society, as a continent, we assigned meaning to those things. Then we gave responses. Now, out of the responses, the outcome was shaped by the way, the meanings we assigned, and then the responses that follow. So I still maintain that the children have always been here with us. What has changed is society's interpretation, but not the human beings. Okay, so what has changed is actually society's way of interpreting it. So the history of neurodiversity in West Africa is really a history of how meaning has shaped our actions. So the meaning we have attached to differences in the way we behave and act and learn, all right, that has shaped our action towards these individuals and these conditions in our societies. Okay, now let's move to traditional beliefs and the misconceptions that have been held over the years. In many West African communities, you and I are both Africans. Developmental and behavioral differences were often interpreted through spiritual and social frameworks. So it's either as a result of the gods, the spirits. This is from the evil forest. It's a curse, and then sometimes it's more societal. So as for this community, everybody there is like this. If you marry from this village, you are going to get. Those were the things we held in our mind. So a child who behaved differently might be seen under a spiritual attack. We say that they are bewitched. We say that they are cursed. Or we even say it's a divine punishment. Yes, the mother went to take another man, and that is why he gave birth to this child. All these things are things that has shaped the way we think and act towards neurodiversity in Africa. And in other places, the child may become a source of shame and even silence. Some of them hide them in their rooms and do not even want them to come out. This is the situation we are in, or we have had in the past. These interpretations did not come from nowhere. No, they reflected what beliefs, the wider beliefs about how people fall ill, about suffering, about morality, and about misfortune. So that's how we have traced it. Okay, if this child is behaving in a way that is not in our family, okay, then perhaps it's a misfortune that has befallen the family. Then perhaps it's an illness in that family. Oh, these people have been imposed with suffering. So the issue is not simply about the people believe these things. The issue is that such beliefs often shape how the child and the family is treated. Okay, so the issue at stake is not just even about what they believe or whether they believe there's witchcraft on, but the main issue is that such beliefs have shaped how families and the children were treated in the past. Okay, so the difference was not often read through this spiritual thing, but the social language, rather than the clinical one that, oh, this could be a condition, but no, it is either family blame, shame, we conceal it, witchcraft, curses, spiritual attacks. All right, so the difference was not read through spiritual or social change, rather than the clinical language. When a belief becomes a source of barrier, now these are our beliefs and how they have shaped our actions over the years. All right. So when belief becomes a barrier, then what happens? Usually, it can shape our actions in many ways, and this can reflect in delayed diagnosis. All right. A child is seen as spiritually attacked. The family may delay even in taking the child to a health facility to check, because the assumption in their mind is that, oh God, we have been cursed. And so they do not even take the step to look at it from the clinical perspective. They do not even take the step to look at it from the educational perspective. All right. So when our belief becomes a barrier, what happens is that in the past, it's actually affected the diagnosis. People were not seeking those things. And then also there becomes delayed support. If the mother is blamed and the family too is blamed, the family may withdraw from the shame. They will say that, hey, this child, we cannot associate ourselves with the child. We cannot say that this is it or that is that. All right. If the child is described as stubborn or abnormal, what happens? There's social exclusion. There's social exclusion. Then there's also family stress. There's also the silence and then the hiding. People begin to hide their children. So the greatest barrier is not only the condition itself. It is the meaning that we have attached to the condition. So that meaning delays the diagnosis, that meaning delays intervention, that meaning increases the family stress and limits access to school and other social support systems. So the greatest barrier, my dear fellows, is often the meaning that is attached to the condition and not the condition itself. All right, let's look at how we have had colonial influence. Let's look at the colonial and the missionary influences where we began to shift and move. Okay. At this point, it is important for us to recognize that the local beliefs are only one part of the story. Colonialism, okay, did not create neurodivergence, but it changed how difference was named, how it's been classified, how it's been managed, and how it's been institutionalized. My dear fellows, so when our local beliefs are not the only story, no. From there, we were on our own. Then the missionaries came, so there was that influence. So it didn't create neurodiversity back then, no. But their influence actually changed how these differences in the way people behave, how it was named, how it was classified, how it was managed, and then the institutionalization of it. So they introduced formal schooling, our colonial masters and missionaries. They instituted formal schooling. They also brought about medical classifications. Then there was the charity-based responses where we thought that, okay, if these people have disability, there are people that we have to pity and we have to send gifts to. So when it is Christmas, we all send Coke and Fanta and go and give to school for the deaf, school for the blind. These are the people who need help. So that charity responses. Then rehabilitation models. Okay, these people cannot see. These people are behaving differently. What do we do to help them? Let us give them a form of support so that they can behave in the way that we behave. All right. And then also when their influence brought about more structured forms of provision. All right. So because there's a formal school now, they began to know that, oh, people have to go to school and all that. So in some ways, this colonial and missionary influence has actually expanded access for neurodiversity, but it's also strengthened the deficit-based and segregated models. So back in the day, when our colonial mass, that was when institutions began to, those missionaries began to form segregated schools. Okay, school for the blind, school for the deaf, school for the intellectually disabled. And then so for them, this is the school that they have to go to. So we moved from community interpretation, our beliefs, that is a curse, it is this, let us hide them, it's a family blame. We moved that from that interpretation into now institutional classification and formal management. So now we began to understand from that background of spiritual and all the assumptions. Then when the colonial man said, well, okay, these people, they can actually go to school. So school for the deaf, school for the blind, let's give them charity. Then we began to look at it and the formal management of neurodivergent, or the differences that we found under them. Now let's look at the post-colonial shift after our colonial masters came. So after independence in many of the African countries, they expanded disability services. There were rehabilitation systems and educational provisions. So this was an important step forward. My dear fellows, this was, at that point, there was greater recognition and wider access in some areas, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Kenya. All these countries began to realize. So the post-colonial shift made us to look at it from separation to inclusion. So there's now the wider services, there's the stronger recognition. Then we began to give it more policy attention. All right. So, but however, even at that same point, there were still some deficit kind of thinking. Okay, so inclusion was not very even. People still thought that, okay, they're in school, these people are a problem. Let's put them together in this place. Support systems were often weak because we saw them as a charity case. And then many structures continue to separate. Let's build more schools for them. Let's put them here together rather than putting us all together. But over time, we see a shift. The language starts moving from charity. These people are a charity case, and correction towards participation, inclusion, dignity, and rights. So from that perspective, then we began to move gradually. Then we began to say that, oh, okay, let's move from the issue of these people like charity case. Let's look at our attitude towards them. Let's correct our attitude towards them. Let's include them. Let's see them as having dignity. And then let us also recognize that they have rights. Okay, so on that note, let us move to policy and then rights. But before then, I'd like you to rank these for me. I don't know how tech savvy we are, but if you are okay and you can, please scan the QR code and tell me by ranking these factors in terms of their impact on awareness in our communities. Do you think education and training has helped in awareness of neurodiversity? Do you think that media representation is a factor? Do you think that community programs or policy interpretation or implementation? If you're able to do the scan, let me see a thumbs up emoji. Thumbs up. If you cannot, you can give an emoji that you cannot. Hey, Dr. Tiku, are you there? Miriam, Nasser. Okay. Nasser, are you able to scan it? Okay, so when you scan it, then please rank it and let me see. If not, and you're using your phone, just type in slido.com on your browser and enter the number 29452115. It's an active poll, so if anybody answers, I'll see it. Let's see how Slido works. Let's learn something new. Just do it, do it, do it, do it. I want you to rank the following factors in terms of their impact on neurodiversity awareness in our community. Beautiful. One person has done it. Okay. You think that education comes first, community, media, and then policy. All right. Beautiful. Let's see another person taking it. If you're using a laptop, you can just use your phone, scan the QR code, or you can just go to your browser, join slido.com and enter the number 29452115 and take the poll. Beautiful. I've had 3 people, 3 fellows. Okay. Beautiful. I've had 3 people responding. Fellows, try it. Try your hands at it. This is called Slido. It's an active way of interacting when you're having an online class. It'll be beautiful to explore it. Go to your browser, type in slido.com. When you type it in, it will ask you for the code. You enter the number 29452115. You will see the poll. It's very active. Then you rank these factors in terms of their impact on neurodiversity awareness in your community. Okay, another person is taking it. Beautiful. Okay, now the ranking is changing. I want to see it change. People are thinking differently, which is good. I see that now media representation is also coming up. Beautiful. All right, so at least I've had 4 people taking the poll. That's not bad. That's okay. We'll take another one so you get acclimatized with it, get used to it. We'll take one last slide so that you become used to it. All right. Now let's move to right. Now let's move to policy and rights. Okay, let's move to policy and human rights. This shift, okay, this shift becomes clearer in policy and legal frameworks. So the shift where we came from traditional assumptions, the meaning we attach to it. After that, then there was the pre-colonial masters building schools. Then there was the post-colonial where we realized, okay, we need to have schools for them. Then there became the issue of charity case. Let's build more schools. We know that they have to go to school. Now, then came the post-colonial. There were a lot of support for them. Now we have the policy and the rights. This shift is clearer in our policy and frameworks. So in Ghana, now we see developments such as Ghana's Persons with Disability, and we have the Act 2006, Inclusive Education Policy 2015, and that Ghana, Nigeria, and some other African countries like Kenya and co. also signed onto the CRPD, Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disability. These international frameworks, African countries ratifying it is one move that we have done towards neurodiversity, okay, which is good. In Nigeria, they also have their Disability Act of 2018. So all these things are telling us that policy actually matters. But my ladies and gentlemen, policy alone does not erase stigma. The policy alone does not erase stigma at all. The laws may exist on paper. You and I can attest While harmful attitudes continue in our homes, in our schools, our communities, and even in the institutions where we work. So policy matters, but the practice must change. Our practice must change, right? So what needs to still change, or stigma that is in practice? One stigma looks like, what is it that stigma actually looks like? When we look across our African settings, we see recurring patterns. Families first may seek spiritual or traditional explanations. Mothers are usually blamed. Children are hidden or excluded. Neurodivergence may be mistaken for bad parenting because there's a child who is in a Trotsky, and then the car is moving and the child says, and slaps the mother. And then another mother sits there and says, look at this child. The mother didn't train him well. Look at this boy. How do you slap your mother? And we think it's bad parenting. We also think it's disobedience. The children, they may not be doing too well in school. And then we also think that they are lazy or they are just being stubborn. So in some settings, the biggest barriers are not only the lack of services, but also the social meanings that attach to the person. Okay, so this reminds us that stigma is not only a personal thing. It is also very social. It is also cultural, and it's also institutional. Okay, so stigma goes beyond being personal. It also becomes social and institutional. When all of us think that if you are in church and then everybody says, higher, 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 and then there's a child say, and then we think that the spirit is on the child, or that child is not behaving well, cannot sit down quietly at the Sunday school. These things become institutional. These things become social. So stigma in practice, all of us are falling victims if we behave that way in our society. All right. Now let's look at what still needs to be changed. So what still needs to change, my dear fellows? We need better language. We also need stronger awareness. We need teachers who are prepared. We need schools that are supportive. We need families. We need families that are very, very supportive and encouraged, but not blamed. And then we also need stronger referral systems and support systems. These are the things that we need. Okay, so we also need advocacy. We also need advocacy, and then we also need very respectful culture. But still, we also need to have evidence-based and rights-driven societies and communities. All right. So this is what we need. These are the things we need: better language, stronger awareness. And I'm sure that is one of the reasons why you fellows are here. We need teachers who are very prepared and committed. We need supportive schools, environments that are very supportive of these individuals. And then we also need families that are supportive and understanding and not pointing fingers at parents or their other family members who have such children. We also need respectful advocacy. Nothing for us without us. Don't think that you are advocating and so, oh no, you have the disability, just sit down. I am going to speak on your behalf. It doesn't really work like that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, these are the things that we still need to change. And as fellows, as you complete this fellowship program, put this at the back of your mind. You now know the historical, the misconception, and the cultural perspective to neurodiversity. So in your advocacy, you look at how to better enhance language, stronger awareness, prepared teachers, supportive schools, how schools can be very supportive and all that. We will have an activity shortly. So at this point, I would want you to do something for me. How many are we online now? Are we about 10? Hello, my people, are you here?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we are here. I
Good.
think
You
we are
too.
about, yeah, we're 17, but roughly I think 14
Yes,
or
at
15.
least we have about 10. Good. All right. So now let's think about, if you can see the screen well, let's think about this. The purpose of this activity is not to insult our culture, not at all, or to dismiss the way people believe in their things. The purpose is for us to examine the harmful narratives that critically, okay, very critically and respectfully. So like I'm saying, our focus here is not to dismiss what people believe or to insult our culture, not at all. What we are doing is to examine the harmful narrative, how harmful the narratives are, and then critically and respectfully look at it. Okay, so now let's look at these statements. Each group, you will discuss one statement. One, this child is under a spiritual attack. 2, the mother must have done something wrong. 3, the child should be hidden until he becomes normal. 4, he's only being stubborn. This child is only being stubborn. Okay, so the first statement is that this child is under a spiritual attack. Now discuss what belief is behind it. If we say, if the belief or the assumption or the culture says that this child is under a spiritual attack, what belief do you think is behind it? What harm can it cause? And how would you as a fellow respond? And what support is needed? Are we good to go? So at this point, we'll all unmute and then we'll discuss it. When we say the child is under a spiritual attack, what is the belief behind it? Just raise your hand and then I call you and we do it.
Oh, I thought you said it's a group discussion, so I was creating
Yeah, so
a
you were
breakout
creating,
room.
good, that would be good. I was having difficulty creating, so you can create the groups. I'm grateful. Is that
Okay.
Pascal?
Peter, Ibuka.
Okay, all right, Peter, please help. Thank you. So we put them into the groups and then, so my fellows, please take a screenshot of the activity so that when you come back, so we'll have group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. Then they do the discussion. So take a picture of it, discuss it. I'll be moving from room to room, looking at what you are doing, and then we'll get back and have our discussion.
So the rooms have been created. Please go to the assigned room. It's automatic. You'll be notified. Okay, I think people are going to the rooms now.
Yes, it will show on your screen and then you just click on join. Ebuka, you may move them to the rooms.
Okay. Hello, Smith. Please, can you join the room you've been assigned to? Yeah. Oh, the screenshots. Okay. Let me see. Screenshot.
Okay, you are all welcome back.
So I got a message that some people could not unmute to speak. I just wanted to find out if that is the case for everyone. Dr. Roxanne.
Hello.
Yeah, in the rooms you enter, I just wanted to confirm if people
Yes.
could speak.
I was thinking that, yes, we are all back to the main room, right? But it looks like my other device, when I speak, they can't hear me. Am I audible on this device?
Yes, you are.
Sure. Okay. All right. So. All right. So you are all welcome back. Now let's have our group reporting. Group 1, I would like you to share with us what belief did you identify, the possible harm, the respectful response, and perhaps a practical pathway that you thought about. Can we hear you, please? Any volunteer?
Oh, goodness. Okay, let me try. Actually, we had very limited time to discuss that. But generally now, we looked at the conversations and we came up with the idea that some of these things will have to do with people's belief, spiritual, religious belief, which may not be true. A situation where somebody is saying, maybe as a result of someone's sin, and God is paying the person back when you have a child with neurodiversity, a kind of. So we came up with the idea that it's important that knowledge is power. When you have an understanding of what neurodiversity is, it will go a long way, to help you put things right. That we now serve as advocates. We can actually reach out to people like this, making them understand that it has nothing to do with maybe your sins or maybe what you have done or some of those beliefs that, a situation where you have to hide your baby because the child has a challenge. So it is just to change the narrative and the idea and continue to educate people on the right path to take. Situations where you need medical assistance, you need to go for such, not saying that maybe something you did in the past that God is paying you back with that and things like that. Sorry, I think that's the little we discussed. We had very short time. Thank you, ma'am.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Can we have another group? Thank you so much, Group 1. You did marvelous. I think I entered your room and I was very quiet. I heard a lot. Well done. I'm proud of you. Please, any other group? Any of the prompts that I gave? The child is under spiritual attack. The mother must have done something wrong. I think Group 1 has dealt with that. The child should be hidden until the child becomes normal. Any other person, please?
From Group 2.
Okay.
I'd like to talk about the part of the child being stubborn. I feel like that can come from misinterpretation of, an abnormality per se, like can stem from misinterpretation of the neurodivergent condition, and that can lead to they saying the child being stubborn, so it can cause psychological strain on the child himself. or herself. It can also cause, delay in seeking help when they don't really understand the reason why the child is, is different from other children. So it can also cause for the mother, she can start blaming herself and start thinking that, oh, maybe it's truly something that she did wrong. So what I'll recommend actually is education, more like what we are doing now, more education and awareness about, to the about the condition, to say. And also I also recommend, they seeking professional help. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
That is excellent. 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 I love it. Thank you so much. Was that Rebecca? Who just spoke, please? Your name? That was from book 2. Okay, any other person? Can we have the last person so we have our key takeaways? This is telling me that all that we've learned, we really understand. Any other volunteer? Miriam, say, can you help? Rebecca?
I'm here.
Can you help us, please?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Sorry, in our group 2, I didn't know what happened. I can't unmute. We can't hear what anybody is saying.
Okay.
Now, in terms of belief, there are so many beliefs, like from where I came from the southeastern of Nigeria. Sometimes anything that happens must have a cause. So when we see such parents with such children, first thing that comes in mind, what's the cause of this? Is there a spiritual problem? Are there spiritual problems attached to it? Is there something that their parents or their forefathers did? And this is not good at all. So, and the possible harm is that the child doesn't get the right treatment he or she deserves. There is no inclusion for that particular child. Sometimes the child is being neglected and kept at home. Sometimes the child is not being brought out. And the best way to respond to such is to inform the parents of the child that this is natural. It can happen to anybody, any ethnic race anywhere in the world. It's natural, is inborn, and nothing could have stopped it. So the right way is to give the child the best attention, give the child a support, give the child love, and try to engage the child in a school. Even if a special school, the parents should try as much as possible to show the best love to that child and make sure that that child, even if that child is being stigmatized and if he or she can complain, the parents need to show him or her love and tell the child not to mind what the people say, but to always be grateful that God created him or her, and at the end that he or she is going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's another wonderful one. Yes, I'm so grateful for your responses. All right. So what I want to say to us, or what I want us to practice here, is that how to challenge. My voice is echoing, right? Am I audible?
Yes, it's actually echoing.
It's echoing,
okay.
yes.
Yes, you need to off one device. It means 2 devices are on.
Is it better now?
How are you? Yes, it's better now.
Okay.
Also
all right. So like I was saying, what I want us to practice here with this activity is that how we challenge harmful thinking about or challenge harmful thinking without humiliating the people who hold it. That is very important in our advocacy. So as fellows in our work as advocates and everything that we do, if we speak with contempt, people may stop listening. Okay, so in everything that we do, we have to be mindful of how even we challenge the way people think without humiliating them. Okay, so if we speak with contempt, people will not listen to you. But if we engage them respectfully and clearly, change can become more possible. So if you identify the belief, then you look at the possible harm, you tell them the possible harm, and then you give a very respectful response. After that, don't leave it there. Give them a very practical support pathway. It is not okay to tell me that, oh, this condition, it means that your child can't talk, your child is there, and then you leave it there. What is it that I can do? Provide that practical support pathway, and I'm sure that is why this foundation is trying to do for you fellows, that at the end, you will be able to critique harmful beliefs without insulting culture. Because our communities, like someone who said, that is the belief they hold, it will not be easy for you to just dispel it. So what you will need to do is that you will have to, the beliefs, you may critique it in a very respectful way so they don't feel insulted. And in that way, as Africans, we'll come along. So if you identify the see the possible harm, respectful response, and then you give the person a very practical support pathway. And then that will help us in the work we do. Let's have our quick takeaways. I'm sure you've learned something today, right?
Yeah.
So today, we begin to wrap up. Let me begin to say our few key takeaways. We have learned today that neurodivergent people have always been with us in West Africa. Didn't you learn that? We've also learned that the language is newer than the people. The people have always been here. Our belief systems, our history, our colonial institutions, and the modern policies have all shaped how difference is understood, how neurodiversity is being treated. We have also learned that stigma affects the kind of support we give. Stigma also affects inclusion. Stigma affects a lot of things. It also affects diagnosis, family well-being, even schooling. If we have the stigma, parents begin to hide their children. Okay, and then stigma also affects how we provide support. Now, we also learned that policy helps. So signing onto UNCRPD, ratifying onto all the conventions on the rights of persons with disability. Kenya has signed on, Ghana, Nigeria. We have inclusive education policy in Ghana, Disability Act, Nigeria has it, and all that alone is not enough. It's a good thing, but it's not enough. But the practice that we have must change. Let's not have a beautiful paperwork. Beyond the paperwork, let us see that the things that we do has changed. So policy matters, but then also practice must also change. And then finally, inclusion requires dignity. Inclusion requires action. Inclusion requires sustained commitment. And I think that you fellows are in the right place, because doing this tells us that you want to sustain your commitment to whatever is happening here. So, as I bring my lesson to a close, ladies and gentlemen, the history of neurodiversity in West Africa is not simply a story of ignorance and enlightenment. It is a story of belief. It's a story of culture. It's also a story of colonial legacies that they have left. It's also a story of policy shifts, and it is also a policy of ongoing struggle for dignity. Our task as fellows today is to move from stigma to support, from silence to advocacy, from exclusion to inclusion and belonging. So the question before us is not whether neurodivergent people belong to our communities. They already do. The real question is whether our systems, whether our attitudes, whether our practices are ready to recognize that belonging with dignity and support, whether we are going to do that for them. So beyond all of this, I'm sure that our lesson today has taken you through a lot. We are grateful for having me. Thank you so much.
Wow. Awesome. So, I want us all to go to the chat room and appreciate Dr. Roxy for very job well done. Thank you so much, Dr. Roxy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pascal.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I'm sure that the fellows still have some couple of questions for you, if you are up for it now, so that we can just use a few more minutes, just 5 minutes or thereabouts, and take some questions. But before we go into that, just some basic rules as usual. If you have any question, you just raise your hand, or you can indicate in the chat room. When you are asked to unmute, you can now unmute yourself and ask your question so that you can have some order, right? So, if you have any question, you can indicate now. You can either raise your hand or you can send a message in the chat room. Let me see. Okay. Nasir, you have a question, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, you can unmute.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doctor. I'm super grateful, and I'm sure it's not just me. We all fellows here are super grateful. I'm Dr. Gifty. So my question goes thus: what's, from your perspective, ma'am, what's the silver bullet that you think can move us from awareness to adoption? That's to adoption of these safe practices that would actually allow people and children living with neurodiversity to be much more inclusive in the society that we live in our communities. Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much for the question, and thank you for having me, all of you. Yes, so in my opinion, just like you said, that's very opinionated. I think that in Africa, in West Africa, one of our major problems is with attitude. So in my thinking, if we are able to have change in attitude, majority of the things that we know will change. In this is a simple example. So you have people who have become teachers, and then they might have heard about disabilities and everything, but they're in the classroom and the attitude alone is a put off. So I'm thinking that if we work on the psychology of our people to begin to see neurodiversity as something that is very natural, something that is about variation, at that point, our response to it will shoot us into a very safe space where everybody will feel included. An example is a teacher who says that, as for me, I went to 31st December night to go and pray that none of these kind of children will come to my class. This is somebody who has gone to school to a tertiary level, completed, and not my grandmother in the village, but look at the attitude, the thinking. So I am thinking that if we are able to, it was a gradual process, advocating, talking to them, trying to shift minds. And when that is done, a lot of these things will change. So I think that our change of mindset, when our mindset changes, our attitude will also be enhanced. Thank you, sir. I hope I've tried to answer you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that wonderful answer.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We love you.
Love you more. Thank you.
Another person that has questions. Another person with question. Okay, just to help us in this, if you don't have question, just type no question from me so that I know that nobody has questions before we call it a day. If you don't have any question, just type no question from me so that we know that nobody has question. Okay. All right, I can see no question from me, no question at the moment. Okay, Doc. Thank you so much. It was an amazing section. Thank you. So we'll be looking forward to the action cards, which should be submitted in the Google Classroom. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you for doing justice to the topic. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. So I want everybody, let us go to the chat room and thank Dr. Roxin for the last time this night. Okay? Yes, thank you very much.
I want to also thank you all so much. The fellows were so interactive, and sometimes when people have sessions and the fellows or people you are talking to are not responding, it doesn't make the flow good. So I want to also appreciate them for flowing along with me. It makes the teaching quite lovely. Thank you so much. I love you all, and I hope to see you at places, hear of you, your fellowship, your advocacy. Tag me on LinkedIn, wherever you are, and I'll be happy to share in your happiness. Thank you so much. Catch you later.
All right, thank you. So the section today is officially over. Thank you so much, everybody, for your active participation. Thank you.